let's talk a little bit about the TBR. You will get extra points for reading a book that was mentioned in a co-host's video. Hello, my gorgeous reading angel besties. I hope they're having the most wonderful day of your entire stinking life. Today we are doing a lot of bullet journal updates. So I'm going to be doing my March spread. I'm also going to be doing a March TBR by week spread because March we have Realmathon, which is so exciting, which is created and officially hosted by Cass from Covers with Cassidy, but I'm one of the co-hosts for Team Time. I will leave her announcement video for Realmathon linked down below, and I'll give some additional information for it in this video. We have to be organized. We have to have a strategy with our TBR in March because it is a team-based readathon. We get points. We can also read books that will have negative points towards other teams. So we're doing our March TBR by week so that I can plan some of that out. And then I am going to be doing a Realmathon official spread for my bullet journal as well. So I hope they're excited. If you are, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I will mention I'm not going to do my February complete wrap up in this video because this video is going to go up on February 25th. So I haven't fully closed out my reading for February quite yet, but we'll make some updates for what I've read so far. Let's talk a little bit about the TBR. This is by no means all-inclusive. I will probably read more than 7 books in March. Knock on wood, because I don't want to jinx myself with that. But I wanted to give myself a little bit of wiggle room if I wanted to mood read or pick up, you know, whatever book I want to. I just wanted to have that little bit of space and not plan out like a 20 book TBR type situation. Quickly, let's talk about Team Time. It's myself and Becca from Becca and the Books that are co-hosting Team Time. Our team gets extra points. I think everyone gets extra points for reading a book with a school setting. Our team specifically gets extra points if you read a book that has a white cover or books that have objects on the cover. Also, the longer the book, the more points you get. So I do have some chunkers planned for March to get some extra points. I think any books that are 800 pages or more, you get like 40 extra points for that singular book. So we're gonna go after it. But the first 2 that I'll talk about, I have Vows and Ruins by Helen Scher, which is the second book in the Legends of Thesmar on my TBR. It has swords on the cover, so it counts as an object on the cover. I will also say I'm planning on reading the newest release in the series. I don't know if it's the final book in the series or not. I have to look that up actually. It's called Fate and Furies. I don't have the physical copy because it just came out this week, but I am planning on ordering it. So I will have it, but I will pop up a picture. Also has swords on the cover. This is a fantasy romance series. Very general synopsis because this is the second book in the series. I've talked about this series, the first one being Blood and Steel, on my channel many a time. Thea Zoltaire, she has one desire to become a badass warrior of Thesmar. They don't typically allow women, actually I don't think they've ever allowed women, to become one of these very specialized warrior badasses. She's here to break that stereotype. The love interest in these books, his name is Wilder Hawthorne, and he is just the hottest warrior you can picture. Man bun, tattoos, 2 swords on his back that he takes out like this. There's a 1-horse trope. There is a knife to the throat trope. Like, they are perfection and I love them so much. So those are the first 2 books on my TBR. For my chunky books, this one, it's debatable whether or not I'll get to it within February or not, but I wanted to put it on this TBR just in case for March because I am currently reading House of Flame and Shadow. I don't know that I'll be able to finish Flame and Shadow and this in February, so I did put it on March as a tentative, but that is Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. This also has objects on the cover. She has a shield, she has a trident, she has a cup, she has a crown. Luggage counts as an object. There are many objects on this cover that count. And this book is just over 700 pages. I think it's like 708 pages. So this will be one of my chunky ones to get those extra points. Can't describe my excitement for this book. It is going to be so painful, but I figured I need to follow up House of Flame and Shadow with a hard hitter that is a completely different genre. And so that's where this beauty comes in. Then I have 2 other newer releases actually. So I have Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff on this list. I'm really hoping that once I get a physical copy of this book, the entire back of the book will be white so that I can count it as a white cover, because technically it's definitely leaning more red than it is white, but it does have the white backdrop. So we'll see if I'm able to count it for that. Other than that though, there is a sword, actually 2 swords on this cover, so I'm hoping that I can count it for an object on the cover. This is the second book in the Empire of the Vampire series. I have been not so patiently waiting for years for this book to be released ever since I read Empire of the Vampire a couple years ago for the first time. Absolutely fell in love. It is just the most bloody, gruesome, epic vampire fantasy, and I'm obsessed with it. It is so high stakes. The characters are so well-rounded and developed. I love how the story is told through such like an interesting perspective, switching between a present timeline and a past timeline. I just cannot wait. I think we're doing a buddy read. I know that a lot of people within Realmathon, like doing Realmathon, want to read this book, so I think we're gonna do a buddy read, which counts for extra points. This is one of my most anticipated releases for 2024. I can't stink and wait for it. Another newer release that I'm putting on this list is A Tempest of Tea. And this is by Hafsa Faisal. There's a teacup on this cover, so it definitely counts for an object on the cover. This book has a very interesting premise. It is actually another vampire book as well. Our main character's name is Arthi, and she is a criminal mastermind, collector of secrets. She runs this tea room that transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by dark, catering to the vampires feared by society. But when her establishment is threatened, Arthi is forced to strike an unlikely deal with an alluring adversary to save it, and she can't do the job alone. Calling on some of the city's most skilled outcasts, Arthi hatches a plan to infiltrate the dark and glittering vampire society known as Ethereum. This sounds so cool. I remember reading We Hunt the Flame, and I love Hafsa Faisal's writing style, so I have been very curious to get my hands on this one. I have the ebook for this one, and my Libby hold is actually coming to an end quite soon, so if anything, I will start off the readathon reading A Tempest of Tea. And then these last two count for my white cover books. We have Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I have been seeing this book everywhere recently, and I've heard good things about it. It is a fantasy romance. It's one of those books where the mortal world has been colonized by gods, and the gods' offspring, which are called the Descended, are ruling over the mortals. We follow our main character, Diem Bellator, who yearns to escape the insular life of her poor village. Her mother suddenly disappears, and the discovery of a dangerous secret about her past offer Diem an unexpected opportunity to enter the dark world of Descended royalty and unlock the web of mysteries her mother left behind. With the dying king's handsome, mysterious heir watching her every move, and a ruthless mortal alliance recruiting her to join a growing civil war, Diem will have to navigate the unwritten rules of love, power, and politics in order to save her family and all of mortal kind. It sounds really fun. It also sounds like a very, hopefully, fast-paced read, so I'm here for it. And then the final book that I have on my official TBR is called Feather. This is by Olivia Wildenstein. It's a bit of an older release book. It was released in 2020, but I've had my eye on it for quite some time, and I figured this would be the perfect excuse to read it because all of the covers in this series are white covers, and so I'm hoping that I really love this first book, and then I'm giving myself, like I said, that wiggle room with my TBR that if I want to continue on with the series and like binge the other books, that would be amazing. Let's hope that that happens because we would be getting extra points for all these white covers. And I have never really dabbled in angel fantasy romance. Crescent City was my first exposure to angels within a fantasy romance, and I love it so much. I know it's kind of an older trend, I guess, in the book community. I think in the early 2000s or like 2010s, there were a lot of angel romances, like fantasy romances coming out. I completely missed that phase or trend of the book community, and so I'm hoping that Feather will really work for me. My friend Katie from Katie's Book Nook read these books and sang some high praise about them. So this is a modern Romeo and Juliet retelling featuring an epic sinner and the angel who will stop at nothing to save him. It was supposed to be a quick mission. The only thing quick about it was how rapidly I failed. With only a month to earn her missing feathers, 19-year-old Lee embarks on a trip to Paris to meet her newest project, 25-year-old Jared Adler, leader of the Parisian mafia and the worst kind of sinner, a triple. If Leah can get Jared to accomplish a single act of kindness, she stands to win 100 feathers, more than enough to complete her wings and ascend to Elysium, the land of angels. What she doesn't count on is Jared's dark charm costing her feathers. She's dead set on saving him, and he's dead set on destroying her. Tell me that does not sound like absolute tea. I'm so excited for it. It's also on Kindle Unlimited. These last two, Feather and Spark of the Everflame, are both on KU. I wanted to also pop up, these are two graphics that I made on our Discord channel. If you are not on our Discord channel, first of all, it's linked in the description box below. Join us. We talk about all of the fun Realm of Time things, and you get super fun graphics like this. You will get extra points for reading a book that was mentioned in a co-host's video. So I'm going to quickly talk about a ton of fantasy books that have white covers on them. No synopses, but just like some quick vibes. The Forest Grimm by Catherine Purdy. This is like a cursed forest fairy tale retelling. It has a bunch of fairy tales mixed in, but I would say the main one that carries throughout is Little Red Riding Hood. Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. We all know her, we all love her. If you haven't read it yet, it has a white cover and it is absolutely stunning. It also has a school setting, so you'll get extra points. Seven Faceless Saints by M.K. Lobb is a dark, bloody, gruesome YA kind of horror fantasy. It has a lot of horror elements to it, and the saints in this book are so creepy, and it has a really cool magic system as well. Stolen Air by Holly Black. We know her, we love her. If you haven't read it yet, what are you doing? The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. If you're looking for one of my absolute most favorite YA fantasies that has like a little sprinkle of romance, this one takes place in the desert. It has a lot of Middle Eastern inspiration to it. I love desert and like Middle Eastern inspired fantasies, so this one is really, really good. The North Queen by Nicola Tish. This is a very wintry fantasy romance, also on Kindle Unlimited. White cover with swords on it. How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. If you haven't read this book yet, it's a quick novella. It's very illustrative as well, so this one will be really good for a readathon if you're looking for a break between novels and you just want something to almost give yourself a brain break. It is so incredible. It's so good. Especially returning to Juden Carden, like you can't go wrong. Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is one I actually have on my hopefuls list for March because I haven't read it yet, and if you read Divine Rivals, this is the second book in the duology. It is the final book, and I can't wait to read it. This edition has the white cover, and I think that this is the US edition. The Curse of Saints by Katie Dramis. I haven't read this one yet, but I know that Cass read it as well. I don't know what she rated it, but you do get extra points for reading one of Cass's favorite books. I'll have to check on what she rated it. I have Feather on here as well. I also have Malice by John Gwynne, The Shadow of Gods by John Gwynne. He clearly loves having a bunch of white on his covers, and we are here for it. Those are much more like adult fantasy books. City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. If you have just read Crescent City because of the third book release and you want to return to a book that's similar to Crescent City vibes, I've heard that City of Gods and Monsters really gives Crescent City adjacentness. When Wishes Bleed by Casey L. Bond. KU fantasy romance. I don't know a lot about it, but it has a white cover. Heir of Broken Fate. This book has such a gorgeous freaking cover. It's also a fantasy romance, also on Kindle Unlimited. That's pretty much all I know about it. Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. If you can't get enough of Jay Kristoff's writing, Nevernight is there. Children of Blood and Bone. This is one that's been on my TBR for literally so long. I should actually force myself to read it in March because it's the perfect excuse. It definitely has 50% of a white cover. And then Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, mostly a white cover. It does also have a sword on it. This is one of the funniest fantasy romances I've read. Situational humor, so much banter. It is about an enchanted sword and our main girly pop who wields it. Whenever she wields the sword, a man pops out of it and he like defends her. It's basically a talking sword, and it is just, it's one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. So there you go, besties. Get your extra points. Realmathon takes place all of March. I'm going to leave Cass's announcement video down below, our Discord link down below. Let me know what book you are most excited for in March. What are you going to kick off March reading? And also, please let me know if you're doing Realmathon. It doesn't matter what team you're on. It is going to be so much stinking fun. Let me know what team you are down below in the comments. I will catch you down there, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.